Is this the best Tifa statue on the market? Let's talk about it. Hey everybody, welcome back to Figure Friday. I'm Dylan, and today we're going to be discussing MH Studios' Tifa. This is a 1/4 scale resin statue made by MH Studios. Let's dive right into the details. Tifa here is going to be 52 centimeters tall, 22 centimeters wide, and 24 centimeters deep, making her right in line with the 1/4 scale statues. Now this is a bit of an older statue. She was released back in 2021, so if you do have her, you may have picked her up from retail then. Otherwise, you probably would have to go aftermarket, Facebook Marketplace, eBay, maybe Mercari, somewhere like that where you can grab one of these statues secondhand. Originally, she retailed for about $640 plus shipping. Now in the aftermarket, she's going for anywhere from $1,000 to $1,500 depending on her condition and where you get her from. As mentioned earlier, this is by MH Studios. It is an unlicensed garage kit seller, so you're not going to be finding this on Square Enix store anywhere. With the details out of the way, let's dive right into the pose. Tifa sporting a standing on 1 foot type of pose, checking her glove, pretty reminiscent of the game. It does put a lot of emphasis on one side, which does cause concern for some leaning later on in the future. Oftentimes if statues have too much weight leaning on one side or the other, it does cause an actual statue lean where the resin or the metal inside the statue can warp over time and that statue can do a lean one way or the other. That is a tendency that you see in statues that have their weight on one side. In the future, she may end up leaning to one side or the other. Mine actually does have a slight lean to that side with her knee bent, but it is what it is. It's not too bad yet, and I try my best to keep her out of direct sunlight or any hot environments so that it doesn't worsen those leans. The overall sculpt of this one really represents Tifa and her athletic build. If you're familiar with her character from the game, she's obviously the athletic type, loves to work out, the strong one, the boxer, and you can really see it here. It's pretty reminiscent of Tifa's personality. In my personal opinion, I would like a little bit flashier of a pose. Her standing in almost a museum style, where she's pretty much straight up and down, hand on her wrist, one knee bent, is a little bit boring in my opinion. I feel like there's some other poses that Tifa especially could pull out that wouldn't be too overdramatic for a 1/4 scale statue, and it would fit on this base really well as well. Overall, when it comes to pose and posture, I think it does do a good job representing Tifa. I think there are some options that could have been thrown in that may be a little bit more exciting, but overall I think it was great. Let's move right along into the sculpt and details of this piece. Now I think the manufacturers did a fantastic job sculpting this piece. They did a really good job capturing how the fabric and clothing actually sits on her body, not only with her gloves and the skirt and everything, but you can really see it in the thigh highs as well. They kind of have a pinch to them, which makes it look like they're compressing her thighs, and overall the textures and all the pieces look fantastic. They also did a really good job in all the little dangly bits. Her skirt has some straps and things that hang off. She also has an earring that's hanging off of her as well, and those are very delicate, so if you do have a statue like this, or you do have this one in particular, make sure you're careful with those as they could easily break off. If you move on down to the base, this is probably one of my favorite things about this statue. It's a miniature reactor from the game. The details on it are amazing. She's standing on top of a grate that's got a red and yellow warning sticker around the outside. There's random pipes and exhaust vents all over this thing, as well as a miniaturized version of the reactor on the side, which really ties this together. If Tifa wasn't even standing on this base, you would know that this is from Final Fantasy VII just based off of the reactor alone. That extra exhaust pipe on the back of the base for me doesn't actually fit super well. For whatever reason, it's super loose. However, it doesn't really mess with the statue because it does sit in place, and I'm not moving her around very much so it doesn't jumble all over the place. But just as a side note, yours also may be kind of loose if you have this. Sometimes things just don't fit right, and it's the price we pay for collecting these statues. But overall, when you're looking at it, you don't notice it at all. So let's talk about the paint. This statue does a really good job expressing skin tones, especially muscle definition on Tifa here. She's a strong character, she's got those muscles, and the paint does an excellent job portraying that. The armor in her gauntlets is a vibrant red and actually matches her shoes, which is a nice pop of color for this character. Gray base, black and white clothes, but the red really brings it together. Not to mention the details on the back of her glove armor are fantastic. For being so small, they really came out clear and you can tell exactly what's going on. One of my favorite things that happens is sometimes studios go the extra mile to bring realism to their characters. In this one, she actually comes with glass eyes, which is super cool. If you aren't familiar, glass eyes are essentially a piece of glass with the eye decal behind it, bringing a little bit more depth on the character. So instead of it being painted over and just a regular paint application, which you'll see in most of your statues, they actually have glass in this one to make a more realistic version of her eye. It adds a lot more life to the character. I think it makes the facial expression super good, and it's something that you would really see in those high-end statues, and it makes a world of difference. You honestly don't notice until you're looking at one versus another, and once you see something with glass eyes, it's hard to go back to painted eyes just because of how much better they are. The paint on the base is fantastic. It's dirty without being grimy, but it makes it look like a used piece of metal, something that Tifa would definitely be walking on, something that the reactors would be made of, and it isn't overdone, so you're not distracted by the paint of the base. Alright, now we know no statue is perfect, so let's go over what I don't like about this one. We talked about it earlier, but she's got a lean. It sucks to see, but every now and again you'll get a leaning statue that just tips over more than you'd like it to. And I really see it. Every time I look at it, it sticks out like a sore thumb to me. I know it's not that bad, but over time this thing will just continue to lean more and more. Any leaning statues tend to be problematic, and it sucks to see when you spend so much on a collectible like this and it ends up having that lean. Having a stronger base support or even a different pose, honestly, would fix that problem. Nothing you can do about it now, but it is unfortunate. I'm also not a huge fan of this head sculpt for Tifa. I think it does a good job representing her, but there's something about it that's a little bit flat. I don't know if it's like her head shape or whatnot, but I have seen some statues that have been released more recently that I think do a better job capturing Tifa's likeness. If I can make changes to this statue, I would say pick a different pose. Honestly, a different pose with a better attitude and a little bit of a different facial expression would make this worlds better. I don't hate it, I certainly don't. I mean, obviously I bought it. But if you have something that's a little bit more dynamic, a little bit more fun and lively, I think that would represent Tifa better as a whole. Also throw in a light up feature. If you pressed a button on the back and the top of the reactor glowed, that would be sick. I would love to see something like that. It would pair really well with my Cloud statue. He's got a light up feature, which I don't actually use very often, but if they all did, then I would definitely use them all together. I think that would make it really cool. All right, that's enough yapping from me. I know you guys are here to see this money shot. Take a look at MH Studio Tifa. So, is this the best Tifa statue on the market? I honestly think at the time this was the best statue back in 2021 when it came out. Now, there's some other ones out there that are really in for competition. I think there's some better sculpts, some better likenesses out on the market today. However, this one definitely has the best base. It is by far the coolest base of any Tifa statue I've ever seen. Not to mention the clothes are probably the most accurate to the game as well. Comment down below if you agree. Comment down below if you don't agree. I'd love to hear what you guys think about this statue. Don't forget to like this video, please consider subscribing, and I will see you guys next week.